Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the imho.love show. I'm Angelwolf here with my co-host Michael Murburg.
Hey, Lou.
How you doing, man?
Good.
Good to see you. Good to talk to you.
Good be.
Here we are on the Tan Talk Radio Network, ladies and gentlemen. If you're in the Tampa Bay local, you're at 1340 AM, 1400, 1350. On the FM dial, you're at 104.3, 102.4, and when there's another one. Okay. What is it?
102.3, 104.3, and then the 106.1.
That's right. It's not the heat, it's the humidity. 106.1, the humidity. So that's on your FM. We have a live stream YouTube happening there every week. The show is also transferred over onto BitChute. If you go to my Lou Angelwolf front page, you'll see a little sample of the BitChute. It's a completely different kind of format that will not be censored due to content. So we're just making permanent files, I guess, and just wanted to share that with you on the BitChute. And, of course, the homepage, imho.love, in my humble opinion, .love, there for you all the time. And we also live stream on Facebook. So we're doing a Facebook Live right now. Hey, everybody, Linda, David, Donna, and Melissa, Pam. Hello, hugs to you all. Yes, indeed. Mike Marsh is here, too. One of my old funny gearhead buddy dudes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. And the show is about, we cover CE5 or HICE, which is my preferred term, which is human-initiated contact experiences with our extraterrestrial families.
Yeah, I actually like HICE5.
HICE5.
So it's called HICE 5.
HICE 5.
HICE 5, as opposed to ICE 9, ICE 7, going into the Kurt Vonnegut thing. I think HICE 5 is...
HICE 5?
Yeah, give me a HICE 5. HICE 5 me.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like it a lot.
Works,
HICE 5. I see the T-shirt already. I can see the T-shirt. And we cover humor and aha moments. And that's kind of, less reported news, conspiracy analysis, that kind of stuff. We hear a lot of stuff too. Michael is a degreed historian, and I'm just a noticer. But together we pick up on incredible facts. Tonight's show is about receiving information. Now, I know a couple of you wanted to share in. I'm going to leave the phone lines on all night. Our board up.
Well, we're only going to be here an hour, but we're going to leave them on all night. If you want to call,
it's going to seem like all night.
Leave us a message.
Our buddy Vaughn on the third mic over there, he's going to be handling the phone calls. So, what we're talking about is the gathering information and what you hear and what you consume and what you subject yourself to has a whole lot to do with who you are. Now, and there's so many topics to cover on this week, and we will get to several of them. But the thing that the initial thing I wanted to set this at is the old truth about hearing, seeing, reporting, gossiping, all these kind of things. Is it was something your grandfather told you that you never got to truly practice in your life. If you did, maybe it was for a short season. But my grandpa told me, not that he was a wise old sage, but he knew this. He said, believe nothing you hear and only half of what you see. Believe nothing you hear and only half of what you see. And I know that sounds like old ancient stuff, but you know what? If you take it apart and you look at it, because every piece of information that comes at you generally has some sort of slant or angle or agenda on it, and definitely a tilt in persuasion. Whoever's telling you, they're either trying to gain your sympathy or trying to create your angst, but they're giving you this information for some particular reason. So if you had the wherewithal to be able to weigh the situations that come at you and handle them in a neutral situation, which is the way to do, all information comes at you as neutral, how you perceive it and how you respond to it, that's your reality. If you respond harshly to gossip, you hear a rumor about you and it makes you all angry, then that information that came at you was misused, because it's not supposed to do that. It's supposed to do the other thing. You take it as neutral, and then you try to get it to trend to the positive, try to learn what it was all about. But you all right?
Yeah, I'm good. It's just
good. But what constantly trips this trigger for me is, you can't avoid the news. The latest story, with the Jeffrey Epstein, and chances are, okay, the guy did not hang himself. He is a big dollar guy, and he has a lot of big dollar friends. And I'm not saying he couldn't have gotten whacked. Maybe he did. But I think actually in that level of the club that he was in, he's probably sitting in a poolside adobe hut in Argentina somewhere, drinking out of a pineapple. I really think that's probably what happened.
Yeah, after he's gotten out from surgery of having his face changed.
Yeah. Well, he always wanted to be a girl. I don't know. But so whatever, nose job or makeover or whatever, shave his head, whatever they do. And because here's the thing, he also lives at a level where he doesn't have to go out amongst the common people. It's not going to be like, hey, man, I saw Epstein at the Circle K, bro. And you're not going to.
Yeah, it's like they told Acosta when he prosecuted him for the first molestation case. It said, you make the deal, this guy's above your pay grade.
Right.
I mean, these guys are so far above the pay grade. And everybody involved in that deal. You also had a Mueller that was in on that deal as well.
Sure.
So, I mean, the whole crowd is involved. And we all know they're dirty as hell.
Every one of them. And, they are the things that, crime drama soap operas are made of. These are the same guys. These are not honest businessmen. These guys are, lobbyists and propagandists, and, and they do whatever it takes. And there reaches a point in their operation that individual human lives are a statistic on a page.
Yeah, and I think we got into the point as an American society where now every time we hear the quote official government explanation, all of us, our BS meters go up. That's kind of like synonymous with bullfucking,
Bullfucking.
BS.
Hi, Melissa. Yeah. Hey, Tammy. How you doing? I'm good to see you. Gary Craddock is here. Pete Blake, our old buddy Pete Blake. Killing it with the sports show over there.
Cool.
And cool deal. Like I said, I'm going to leave the phone lines open for the show. 727-441-3000. That's 727-441-3000. And, what we're trying to understand, a lot of times you'll get a feed through your Facebook page, or it'll come in an email or something. And it's just this outlandish information that you can imagine being true. Okay, you read the words, they entered your brain. Now you have to deal with it and sort it out. Now, do you just take the topical first couple of sentences and go, okay, that's that, and move on and save it in a little tiny file inside your head? Or if it's, and I guess to the level, it would interest you or disturb you, do you really dig in and find out where the information came from? Classic examples of that leading with the lesser story. Classic one was, I'm reading an automotive news several years ago. Remember when Explorers were rolling over? They had a rollover problem and they blamed it on Firestone tires and all that stuff. Anyway, Firestone.
Yeah, it would have absolutely nothing to do with the fact that they were too long, built too high, and had too narrow a wheelbase for the amount of vehicle that was set on top of 4 tires.
Right. Yeah, they were. Yeah, they were incorrectly engineered.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's all big dirty business too. Okay, but here was the story. Was about the rollovers in a certain model year, from this model year to that model year. And they go, there was 126,000 rollover incidences, okay? But when you looked at the chart, it was like the second car down. The car above it was the short wheelbase Chevy S10 Blazer which had 250,000 rollovers, which was an even shorter wheelbase, an even more narrow wheelbase, a top-heavy little turd. Okay, but they were cool for kids, and they were small families. They were zipping around, but they were really top-heavy. But the article led smearing Ford when actually the GM car had twice as many incidences of the same thing.
Yep.
And that's when you start looking at your information as it comes in, and are you trusting the source? Look up there in your HTTP line. See who it's coming from.
Well, that's a part of the problem with what we've got going on is who's funding the information. You have these benign sounding institutions that sound great, but the reality is they're taking money from tobacco, from big pharma. You got to know where the money's coming from, despite what they call themselves. And that is getting tougher and tougher because they're not allowing us to get the information we need, especially with private and closely held corporations where you just can't get the information.
Absolutely. And the reality of it all is that from what I understand and from what I've looked up and from the resources that I trust, that there are about 7 major news media outlets in the world, about 7 major players. And they feed all the information to all the substations. And they all, the same story comes in. It goes into the Fox blender. They throw a little conservative twist on it, and then it spills out onto the Fox network. And then they have the same story, MSNBC. They run it through the MSNBC blender. It gets the MSNBC twist on it, and then it spills out onto the air. But what it does, folks, more than anything else, it keeps you watching. It keeps you agitated. It sells you cars and trucks and beer and food and processed garbage and all that.
Xanax and antacid.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I love those big disclaimers at the end of the drug commercials, this can taking this drug can cause suicidal thoughts, loss of your bowels, involuntary signing over your checkbook to a hooker. I mean, all these, it's like, yeah, let me at it. That's what I want.
Right. Yeah. And chance of death did not exceed 5% in most of our tests.
Right. I think I'll put up with my talon toenails.
It's like, the treatment's worse than the symptoms.
Yeah, exactly. So, and watch Big Pharma, man. They're slicker. And folks, and that's kind of the message here at the imho.love show. We want you to, have some thoughts for yourself and do challenge the quote unquote official story. Most of the stories that you're reading are tilted, bent anyway. And go with your gut. That thing our grandpa used to tell us, that believe nothing you hear and only half of what you see, where that comes into play a lot. Believe nothing you hear. So you're trying to deal with these rumors. And then the other half of it is the half of what you see. Okay. Because you may just be seeing a glimpse of a situation that had been unfolding for days, weeks, months, years, who knows? And then you make a judgment on it. Now you do that to protect yourself. You don't want to, if you notice some sort of danger, you're personally going to go on high alert and you're going to start sorting things out. But the classic example that I've always heard about that is like some kid found out that his mom knew that he had some X-rated magazines in his room, right? So he's going, oh man, my mom knows and she knows I got them. Oh man. So he grabs them.
She must think I'm like masturbating. Oh my God. I'm only 13. What am I going to do with my life?
Well, some kids are ashamed, I get it, But so anyway, the guy, maybe this is an old analogy, I don't know. So the guy gathers up his magazines and he goes out with his friends and they go into a different neighborhood and they throw them in somebody's garbage. So he figures, I'm out of the problem. What he didn't know is he threw his X-rated magazines into the garbage of the local pastor. Okay. So the next morning, the garbage man comes along, rambles up, picks up the Playboy magazines and the dirty magazines out of the pastor's trash that wasn't his. And now mentions to the other guy riding on the back of the garbage truck, hey, look at her. Pastor Johnson's got,
got some issues.
Got double D girls deluxe.
And then the black guy takes him home, and his wife sees him and shoots him, kills him dead. Because he thinks he's got a racial preference that she hasn't known about. And there you have it, you know.
See how it goes, man. It's just, this is, I tell you what, this is a beautiful life, but there's a lot of random crap that just happens every day. Oh, man. Hi, Fran. Nice to see you listening. Hey, Jerry Donnelly, Bobby Taylor. What you doing, buddy? I need to see you again. And Brett Falicon and Jack David. Hey, Brett, that's our buddy up there that has the Timberland Ford up there in Perry, Florida.
My regards. Nice place. Great place you got there.
Yep. And so anyway, folks, that's what we're kind of sharing is challenge where you get your information. Believe nothing you hear and only half of what you see. Use that as a backbone. I mean, it's going to be exhausting when you're running your thought process through that cheesecloth. But you'll find, I believe, after a little bit of concentration, you would find yourself relieved of a lot of stress because the bothersome stories are going to jut out so prevalently that you'll be able to process them away faster.
And don't get too upset about the stories that are out there all the time. When I was a kid, for a brief period of time, it was like, UFOs. Okay, this is interesting. Okay, government's not telling us anything. It's all, everything you read is probably true. You're not going to get the truth from the government. So move on, go your own way and, find your own way. And it still gets me, it's still rather comical where everybody's going to get around, when are we going to get disclosure? When are we going to get, guess what? You don't forget about it. Just forget about it. It's too much stress. Let it go. Make your own contact. Join a CE5 group. Learn how to do it. And go out there and find your peace of mind and have some fun and meet some wonderful people that do this stuff.
Yeah. And, Michael and I are active with our CE5, which is Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, or the HICE, Human Initiated Contact Experiences. And that's us reaching out to our extraterrestrial family through prayer and meditation. We expose ourselves with the most pure innocence that we can conjure up within ourselves and say, we want to commune with the pure innocence inside of you, because we know that love is the thing that will finally unify the world. And maybe these guys are here to help. Because if you look around you, the turbulence that's going around you, that's not love trying to help. That's the dismantling, man. That's they're trying to individualize all of us. And I tell you what, it started a long time ago. Probably the separation of people started, I'm going to say, in the early 60s. That was one of the waves that rolled in. And you know what it was that did it? Bucket seats. Bucket seats in cars. Okay.
That's why I have a bench seat in my truck.
Yep. And I got 2 trucks with bench seats.
There you go.
Anyway,
you're always close to your friends.
You know what? And back then, like in the 50s and the early 60s, every car had 2 bench seats in it, and most cars could seat 6. And we all rode together with our knees touching, and Bobby's BO over your shoulder, and because he had his arm around the back of you. But we were together, okay? And then the bucket seats came along, and you got your own little seat. Now,
and you needed 2 cars too, because how are you going to transport 7 people? Actually, 6 was like an underestimate. It's like somebody always got jammed in real tight in the back seat.
Exactly, exactly. But we weren't afraid to be together then. Now. They've got us so isolated off. We have so much fear of our neighbor, and we don't know what they're up to. And hey, and there's some genuinely weird neighbors out there, man. There's some people that I don't want anything to do with. But all in all, though, was it Will Rogers said, "I never met a man I didn't like." It might take me a while to find the thing I like about somebody, but I like most people.
I already liked women too.
Was Will big,
no, he wasn't
big with the ladies?
He was, yes, he was actually American Indian too. So
really, he had the whole rap.
Yeah, he did. Oklahoma.
philosopher. Yeah.
Oklahoma.
Was he
Cherokee.
married? Was he married?
I don't know. That's one of those historical facts I
Was-
just completely unfamiliar
Was
with.
Will Rogers married?
Probably.
I don't know.
That's one I'm drawing a blank.
Hey, Eddie Yarb and Mike DeSalvo. Hi, Jackie. Jackie books a nice comedy club over there.
Yeah.
Knights Comedy Club.
Well, Will
St.
Rogers
Augustine.
also came up with the saying that I ain't no member of no particular political party. I'm a Democrat. It's still true. It's still. That was like 100 years ago.
Hey, that's funny, man. That's funny. And Eric Smith, good to see you. Dave Nickerson and Debbie Mitchell, thanks for tuning in. So, all right, here we are, and we're dealing with these news stories like of Epstein, okay? To come back around to that, here's a guy, you know what it is? It is great distractionary stuff, okay? What they're trying to do is get the focus off of the crime, which is one of the most hideous things that, kidnapping, stealing, selling, and Lord knows what else to groups of children all over the world. This guy was the leader of a pedophile ring. This isn't something that somebody made up. It's so hideous to most of us, we can't even consider it. Like, how could you even do that? But these guys work with a totally different energy. They're at a narcissistic level that the average person can't absorb. These are not nice people. They run on different fuel. I really do think they may have that R blood or some crazy ass thing that does not let them have normal human compassion.
Yeah, they're psychopaths. There's psychopathy. I'm sure there's a genetic basis for psychopathy.
Yeah.
And the other thing is the honeypot sting has been used forever. It's like, take pictures of a guy in bed with another woman and, blackmail him. I'll show them to your wife if you don't, pass this legislation.
Sure.
I mean, that worked pretty good, but, a lot of the world went gay. So then they were like going, okay, we'll show you, having sex with another man in this, park stall. And I'm like, oh, okay, what do you want me to do? And then, then the world kind of went gay. And then the only thing they had left really, and the church had been doing this forever. Yeah. It was like using kids. We're going to show you having sex with a kid. And guess what? In most states, if this kid is 12 or under, you get to go away for life. Right? If this person is under 16, you get to do serious time.
Right.
Unless you're politically related to somebody or working for the CIA or working for Mossad, which I would reasonably speculate that Jeffrey Epstein was doing, because not only is the source of his original money, nobody knows how much money he had or where it came from to begin with. Mm-hmm. So, and he could have done and did do it all because of the high people that he was connected with. Yeah. Very easy to do.
Yeah, I mean, and the phrases they used, he was a disconnected financier. What? I saw that there's disconnected financier, Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's the intro he gets?
Yeah. That's what I mean. It's vague and murky connections. So yeah, perfect.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, as we've discovered, if you've been listening to the show for the last few weeks, hi, Mark Cottingham. If you've been listening to the show for the last few weeks, you'll know that we did a pretty in-depth analysis of covering the Federal Reserve System.
And actually the Rothschilds and the fractional reserve banking, the Federal Reserve is just one of the arms of the Rothschild banking empire. And,
sure.
Just limiting it to the Federal Reserve. Rothschilds were the one that helped found Israel. They were the ones that were responsible for the Balfour Declaration and the initial founding of Israel. They're the ones that own the land, that own the banks, and that control the politics in Israel and here in the United States.
Sure.
Do you know that the number of representatives we have in Congress are of Jewish representatives are 3 times the number that are represented there? So if it's 10% of the population, it's 30% of Congress. I forget what percent of population, but there's a significant over-representation there. And people complain about Russia being involved in our elections. Look at AIPAC. I mean, this is a country that gives us dual citizenship and the political background for the new American century, and for the neocons. They're all Israelis with dual citizenship in the United States, and we're involved in these wars. Do you think there's a connection there? Absolutely is, because these wars do not serve the American people.
Right. Of course not. They don't. And, I recently met some guys that came back from Afghanistan a couple of years ago, and he got hurt over there. He lost some shrapnel went through his chest, and he lost half a lung, and he's got a very rugged breathing disorder from the things that he inhaled over there. And sweetest guy. You could just tell the guy was just a gem of a guy. And he still had that in his soul. His soul was kind of, bleeding out there a little bit. And I asked him, I said, man, whoa, I said, you really took one for the team, man. He goes, yeah. He goes, in degree, yeah. He goes, some people can't imagine what I did. And then I'm telling you, I saw guys that what happened to me was nothing. He said, so it's all a big sliding scale. And the one thing that he said that stuck with me, I didn't push it any further, although I wanted to. I didn't want to make the guy uncomfortable. The one thing that he said was, he goes, I just wish it would have been a little more well-defined what it was I was doing.
Well, you talk about that. I was listening to a history this past week on the island of Inawitak, which was one of the islands that we took from the Japanese during World War II. And it's within the vicinity of the Bikini Islands, which is now totally inhabitable because that's where we started doing our atomic tests.
Right.
In the Marshall Islands, we ran 23 out of 26 H-bombs with 100 times the amount of atomic power than the bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima. In 1977, we started sending our boys in the military, because we really didn't have any wars anymore. We had these military guys in the Army, and they send the engineering guys out to Inawitak to fill a bomb crater. They were going over. There were 4,000 of them that are out there of the period of 2 years. And they were harvesting plutonium.
Oh my!
And putting it in a pit to be covered with concrete. Now it's a porous pit, so the water keeps on leaching in and out, and it's putting out so much plutonium now that the area around it is completely verboten. You can't go there. Not that you could to begin with, but they didn't bother lining this dump, and these guys, have come down with extraordinary numbers of cancers, died early, all the things you would associate with picking up plutonium with your hands without a hazmat suit and putting it in a jar and taking it to the dump. Okay.
Oh,
and they've all been denied the causality element that the guys who were in Nevada in 1944 when the nuclear tests were going on, they got it. There was an association, but the military continues to deny care and compensation to these guys who are now dying in droves because they say, big deal. You picked up some plutonium. We're not going to give you the compensation. We don't think it's related. And these guys were sold on going out there by being told, hey, how'd you like to spend 6 months on a deserted, perfect desert island? Wow. And they were all, yeah, that'd be cool. I've always dreamed about that, and they didn't even tell them they were picking up plutonium.
That's dangerous.
Welcome to your government.
Yeah. Welcome to money. It just, at the end, it's ugly. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the imho.love show. In my humble opinion, I'm Lou Angelwolf. That's Michael Murburg. Consequently, due to our contractual obligations, we've got to go to a news break here, and you'll listen to some mainstream news for the next 6 minutes or so. Then we'll be back with imho.love.
And Clearwater.
FM 106.1.
WDCF, Dade City.
FM 102.3.
WZHR.
Special
Zephyr Hills.
report.
FM
Philadelphia
104.3.
officer.
Listen.
By 3700 North, shots fired at police.
A shooting situation on the north side of Philadelphia is ongoing with 6 officers shot and 2 officers trapped. The latest from correspondent Evan Perez.
Police are still trying to figure out how to communicate with the shooter or shooters. At this point, the police still are not exactly sure how many people are in there. One of the latest things that we know from the scene, KYW reporter Greg Argos just spoke to 4 women who were being taken out of the second floor. They lived on the second floor of this building. Again, this is where 2 officers have barricaded themselves, and these women were being evacuated outside of the very building that this shooter has been firing at police officers.
Perez says it's believed the shooter a rifle. President Trump and the Attorney General have been briefed on the shooting, and they're monitoring the situation at this hour. I'm Barbara Cusack. Calls are growing for Republican Congressman Steve King to resign after rape and incest remarks in defense of his call for a ban on all abortions.
What if we went back through all the family trees and just pulled those people out that were products of rape and incest? Would there be any population of the world left if we did that? Considering all the wars and all the rape and pillage that's taken place and whatever happened in culture after society, I know I can't certify that they're not a part of a product of that.
Correspondent Scott McLean reports the 39-year-old man accused of attacking a 13-year-old boy because the teen did not remove his hat when the national anthem was played at a rodeo in Montana appeared in court today.
The defendant in this case, Kurt Brockway, said only 2 words, which were not guilty to the charge of assault on a minor against him. His lawyer made clear that he would have a neuropsychiatric evaluation before the next hearing in October.
A nosedive by the Dow as it sank 800 points. I'm Barbara Cusack.
At Indeed, we believe a resume is a great way to see an overview of a candidate, but you're not hiring a resume, you're hiring a person. That's why Indeed offers tools that help bridge the gap between a candidate and the resume, like skill tests, which let you actually see a candidate's abilities in action to make sure they're a good fit for the job. See beyond the resume with Indeed. Experience Indeed for yourself today and get a free sponsored job upgrade on your first posting at Indeed.com/promo. Terms and conditions apply.
There's a chance your local Geico agent laughs the exact way you do.
And I said, not in my sandwich. What?
But there's a better chance your local Geico agent could help you out with auto, homeowners, renters, or condo insurance, motorcycle, boat, or RV insurance, too. They'll work hard to provide sound advice and significant savings. You don't need to share a laugh pattern to do that. Local Geico agents. Call or visit yours today.
Hey, did you know there's a live psychology talk show Thursday and Friday at noon where you can call in and get free guidance and also learn several different topics relating to ending the stigma of mental health? It's called Moments of Clarity on WTAN 1340 AM. It's with licensed therapist Tiffany Warner, who will try to end the stigma of mental health. But the only way you can do that is to listen to Moments of Clarity Thursday and Friday at noon on WTAN 1340 AM, the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Hey everybody, it's Bad Craig, host of Blaze Cigars, sponsored by Island Lifestyle and Tobacco Depot. Blaze Cigars is Tampa Bay's only true cigar lifestyle radio show. We feature the latest in cigar industry news, current trends, and cigar tips. Also, interviews with different cigar manufacturers from around the country. And of course, I'm always looking for my next ex-wife. So join us every Saturday from 11 a.m. to noon. That's Blazing Cigars right here on the Tan Talk Radio Network. Again, Blazing Cigars right here on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
If you would like to become a wholesale buyer of the premium quality longevity product that you hear about right here on the Tan Talk Radio Network, for personal service, you can pick up the phone right now and call Lola at 727-441-3311. Again, that's Lola at 727-441-3311. Or for even faster service, log on to tantalkhealth.com. That's tantalkhealth.com. Here's to your health and longevity.
Let's go bowling!
Let's Go Bowling, heard on the Tan Talk Radio Network every Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 12 Eastern Time. Sponsored by 12 Strike and Innovative Ball Spinner. If you bowl, if you haven't bowled in a while, or if you never bowled, why don't you be one of 65 million people have bowled last year? Listen to the Tip of the Week bowling stars, old and new. Let's Go Bowling Show, gobowlingshow.com.
Are you looking for a job? Join me, Gene Hodge, on the Employment Opportunity Hour, Thursdays from 7 to 8 p.m., where I will tell you and share with you, as well as answer all of your questions and help you find enjoyable employment instead of a job. This is the only talk show that talks about everyone who makes up our workforce. Join me on the Employment Opportunity Hour every Thursday from 7 to 8 p.m. on the Employment Opportunity Hour.
There's only one place on the radio where golfers like you can turn for the best tips, interviews, product reviews, local tournaments, and everything golf talk. The Golf Show, guys.
Hey, join the Golf Show, guys, every Wednesday morning from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. It's not just funny, it's informative, it's celebrities, and it's a lot of applause. It's the Golf Show, guys, Wednesday mornings from 9 to 10 a.m. right here on the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Don't turn it off now. You need this stuff. Tampa Bay's Tan Talk Radio Network.
And everybody, welcome back. Hey, sorry about that. I knew you guys could hear the background, Michael and I talking and him sharing a little off the air story there. As I forgot to click the correct. There's one line in that you're supposed to click, and I clicked the other one apparently. So you guys didn't get to hear the commercial. Apparently, there's a whole bunch of hooey going down in Philadelphia because today's August 14th, and here we are. It's about 8:06 Eastern time. Apparently, there's shooters and cops and bad stuff happening in North Philly.
Okay, so there's a bunch of other fatherless boys with deadly weapons.
You know, there is something about that fatherless boys with deadly weapons, man. What'd you say? It was 25 out of 27 or something?
Right. It was 26 of 27 mass shooters were fatherless. And when you look at black on black violence, especially, or black violence in the inner city, the chances of the guy pulling the trigger and doing the killing, it does not have a father figure in the house.
Man, oh man. Well, it's like 73% or something.
So
it's a staggering amount.
It is. And if you, and 26 out of 27 is like 96% of the mass shooters. 96% didn't have fathers in the house.
And I don't know what the well, apparently I do know what it is, in the overall plan, because you have to step back so many times and stick these little pieces of mosaic together before you get the view here. Many years ago, 50s, 60s, they started giving low-income families credit for single moms if there wasn't a man in the house and there's nobody on the birth certificate, the father's unknown. They got government support. Really knew nothing about color. It happened to people of every color. But what it did is it set a level of poverty for these people to live at. And it also created a broken household where a woman is overwhelmed with all of her motherly duties as well as the fatherly duties. And what happened, you have to get these groups of young men that are all in a similar situation, and they wind up, their brotherhood of their neighborhood or whatever, they wind up depending on friends and raising each other. And I know when I was 12 or 13 or 14 years, I didn't know
idiots
much.
Raising idiots.
Yeah, and I was there too. I was a former idiot. But
and they don't have role models and examples. They're not waking up every morning to a guy that's lacing up his boots to go down to the factory and go to work, right. Making, whatever he makes.
Right.
I mean, the get to work ethic is completely missing. And all of a sudden they're presented with this massive psychology of narcissism and materialism where everything has to be gotten so quickly and so fast that they go and they turn to crime to get it.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you don't want, all it takes is one guy doing the math going, look, man, you can work at McDonald's, 40 hours a week and buff cars on the weekend, and at the end of the week you'll clear about $500 maybe.
Yeah, but that's the other part is if you have a strong, father figure around who's doing his stuff, who's making a living, not getting rich, he's supporting his family, because that's what we do. I didn't grow up in a rich family. Both my parents were teachers. They worked past my mother worked till 70. My father worked until he couldn't work anymore.
Wow. Out of the passion of it.
Yeah, well, you got a family to support. You strap it up and you go to work every day.
Sure. And I was very fortunate to be raised in a 2-parent home. My mother and father were both beautiful, beautiful people. I had the common conflicts of any family, but I had that home base. I had that structure where I felt safe in my own home. Now, I've been exposed over the years. A lot of people, I've got to meet a lot of people through various ministries, various charities, where you meet a lot of these guys. I remember delivering a bed to a guy little guy was about 7 years old, and setting it up in his room, and he started crying. And I go, "What's up, buddy?" He goes, "It's the first time I've ever had a bed. It was my first bed." 7 years old. He'd been sleeping on the floor his whole life. And he wasn't staying with his, birth mother or anything. It was just an aunt or friend. I don't even know. I didn't go through the family tree on it, but overjoyed to bring the guy his first bed. And I can tell you what, man, that was a quiet ride home in my truck. I just sat there by myself, didn't turn the radio on. And I just sat there in an extreme level of gratitude. I've obviously complained about my life in the past. You just go, man, oh man. But I always had a bed, and somebody to kiss me on the forehead when I went to sleep at night. So that was a tremendous advantage. Now these poor guys they're raising each other, and then the television comes in, the media comes in, invades their lives, teaches them to be gangsters and have guns and shoot each other and pop a cap in each other's asses and homie, I'll wet you, and all that stuff, all that negative stuff. So when you fill your brain with garbage and you have a very, very misguided sense of values, it's not going to work out well. And I can tell you, it's not getting better. The homelessness, there's just the government is creating this by overspending on the military. They could, America's the land of the free and the home of the brave. Yeah, it's a better game than a lot of other games, but man, oh man, we are so adrift in what is important, and everybody is just so damn greedy. The money never gets to the right people. Those who pass out the cream of loving kindness always want to skim the top first. And by the time it gets done, look at the classic thing is the Flint water supply, Flint, Michigan. They raised that money several times to fix that water.
And we're talking about water. You get the same thing going on in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Where, the water that gets sent there is never got out to the people, and
right.
And people are getting arrested and prosecuted in the government for not doing that. You mentioned, the government creates unnecessary chaos and conflict. For very nefarious reasons. It gives them the ability to control more and more and take away more and more freedom.
Yes.
And that's exactly where we're going. I mean, they're trying to take away freedom of speech. They're trying to take away your freedom to have access to information that you need to make intelligent choices and informed choices about what to do about your life, what to do about the political system, what to do about all these problems that we have that we're going to face, and come up with solutions. And it won't be the solution that the government comes up with, because their solution is always to control and to tax and to deny you the freedom that you need to make necessary choices.
I agree, Michael, and I really do believe that this country, socialism is the only, it's the path in which we're going. there's going to be a lot of people kicking and scratching and not going to like it, but eventually it's going to take hold.
Oh, we know what happens after that, though. It goes through a whole gyrations of a downward spiral. It always happens. It has never failed to happen. Right. But every time people are so full of themselves that, well, it's going to be different this time because we're going to tweak a couple things here, tweak a couple things here. The reality is there is value in work. And no matter how much you pay a person, society needs people out there working because it reflects on their self-worth.
Yes.
The minute you stop working, especially if you're a male, if you stop producing, then your self-esteem goes right down the tubes. And I think we're seeing that with the shooters.
Yes.
I mean, they all suffer from mental illness and low self-esteem.
Yeah.
And they're all rebelling against a society that is forcing them into a hole.
Well, and I'm also curious that you would find it would be curious to know how many of these guys also have some sort of military related background, whether be it in their family or their personal lives, too, because, they're very open that they've been playing mind control games for many years. They don't even deny it anymore. And like you were just talking about, the Bikini Atoll, all that stuff, they can't deny it anymore. They just outwardly abused us and killed us as disposable statistics. And why? And I think what it is we've not been at peace for many, many years. And you were talking about 75, 76, 77, 78. Those were the only years we weren't at war. I was in high school. I had a great time. There was a beautiful little window of time there where there was no war, and cars were cool, and you could that was our last little stroke of America. I really do think.
And then came disco.
Disco ruined a lot of things. Disco was probably, the bucket seats. Okay, you got people riding around in bucket seats being individuals now. And now here comes the dividing music genre, disco. We were all rock and roll there for the longest time.
Smoking dope, rock and rolling. All of a sudden, disco comes in. Everybody starts snorting cocaine. And the other dopers are like, what happened?
Where did you guys go?
It's like, wow.
I'm not saying I didn't have my disco season, but with the disco.
I've seen the haircut. We're so Sheila.
My poodle curl shag. Are you talking about my poodle curl shag?
Exactly.
Dude, and the nights and the Peruvian marching powder and all the amenities that went with that lifestyle. But and
you talk about the powder, and behind it's the CIA. They're flying this stuff in from Colombia. The price of cocaine dropped almost. It dropped by a magnitude of 3. So if you were paying $100 a gram, it ended up going down to $30 a gram within 3 years because CIA had pumped so much cocaine.
Sure, they flooded the market.
It completely flooded the market. And that's a fact, guys. That's out there. Those facts are out there.
And I was in that loop at that time, and I was enjoying the drop in price there. It was it was $180  8 balls or whatever we were doing. But yeah, that whole thing. So but then again, then we started trending away again. Then we got into the 80s, 90s.
Yeah, they started giving you opium.
Yeah, now the heroin.
Heroin. Let's give you pharmacy. Let's give you legal drugs. Let's addict your kids to this.
There's a hole in daddy's arm where all the money goes.
Yep.
Hey, so Yeah, so then they build the heroin thing, and then they change our minds from rock and roll.
And then we go to war in Afghanistan to protect the poppy fields where the heroin's coming from.
Hey, wait a minute. I see a connection.
Wait a minute. So there go those dots again. Wait a minute. Are you a conspiracy theorist?
No.
Are you adding 2 and 2 together, getting 4? That's wrong. It should be 5.
It's my tin hat is in the dry cleaners. So
sorry, go on.
So anyway, so what we're talking about, folks, is the information that you consume. Okay. And I'm telling you, a lot of people say, oh, don't disregard your emotions. Your emotions are too unstable. Your emotions are too unreliable. I say, Bologna, I think your emotions are everything because you are a vibrating magnet going through this world. And as the vibrations and the frequencies pass around you, you're gonna have a certain reaction to all situations. Don't disregard your emotions.
Yeah,
Listen to them.
the emotions are, and you got a part of it. That goes with intuition. It puts you in line, in contact with these other very special talents you have. A study came out recently saying that there are certain individuals are more sensitive to magnetic fields, and they can tell that than others. So, I mean, you talk about your internal magnet. I mean, it's actually true. There are people who can sense the magnetic fields and other people can't. And then, your gut reaction, how you feel about things, you can't see this stuff. It's you run it through your filter based on its source and your knowledge and your own experience to come out with your own conclusions. And, you got to sort that out with a magnetic field.
Right.
So there you go.
Well, and that's, we were talking, and I sometimes think the magnetic field in my heart is, remember when you were little and you could get the little terriers? There was one black one and one white one. They had a little magnet on their feet and you could push them together and they would dance. The one would run around. They were smelling each other.
Not in my neighborhood.
Well,
I'm sorry. It's like you're a little younger than I am.
One of those things your parents got you when you're on a car trip. So you just sit there and just make the little terriers dance the whole time. It was back before. So, yeah. So that's what it's like inside my chest sometimes.
I'm sold. My parents used to give us something called a map.
A map. Constantly watch where we're going. Which would be the most intense navigator you've ever seen in your life. I do, and I do like the safety features that cars have now.
Like seat belts.
The seat belts are great. Airbags, fantastic. I remember when the Angelwolves came to Florida in 1969. We drove down here in a 1962 Ford Galaxy 500 two-door hardtop.
Wow.
It was a pretty car, baby blue and white with the bucket seat interior. It was a very nice car.
V8, good power.
The 390 V8. And we roared into town, and my brother, Keith, slept on the package shelf from Savannah, Georgia, all the way to Dunedin.
Wow.
He was up there
guy.
like a disregarded pizza box, just up there. But luckily, my dad was a great driver, and we got here safely. And I'm celebrating 50 years in Florida now. I have moved away a couple times, but this is where I initially got the sand in my sandals there.
Yeah, I came down in April of 79, and I got out of the car to walk my dog over on 60. I forget I don't know what's there now, some restaurant or something.
Right.
I got out to walk my dog. I had my flip-flops on, and it was my introduction to red ants. Fire ants.
No.
It was like, holy cow, what are these things?
Welcome to
town.
town.
My God, it was dark, It was like,
they are miserable.
Welcome to Florida.
Dang.
It's like, this is not the first time you're going to get bit down here, boy. Wait till you see them no-see-ums.
Oh, man. Don't you wish they were called no-feel-ums? Folks.
Oh, man.
Anyway. Well, ladies and gentlemen, hi, Debbie Ryan. There's my cousin Steve. Steve's been here even longer than me. And Jackie. And I know we got some Florida natives out there. Somebody cuts the grass here. But, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the imho.love show. I'm Lou Angelwolf. That's Michael Murburg. We're here every week on the Tan Talk Radio Network. TanTalk1340.com live streams to YouTube. So if you ever have trouble with the Facebook feed, you can zip right over to tantalk1340.com and you can catch the live stream. And I'm starting to boast a little bit about our BitChute location. It's BITCHUTE, BitChute. And that's where these shows will live eternally because it's a non-censored platform. We're not going to get blocked. Consequently, it's not monetized, but but you see, the monetization is what causes the censorship. To keep the people that want to keep paying the commercial spaces, you have to appease the audience, and you can't go saying stuff about their bosses. So here we are trying to figure out what to believe, what not to believe, and
and eventually when ET comes, they'll say, "Hey, I liked your show."
Very good.
I liked your show.
That's all you can hope for.
Yeah, that's what we're
doing. And die in your sleep. Yeah. But there's something else going on in our community. Michael and
Kenny Rogers.
I know a funny Kenny Rogers story.
Oh.
He got hired by this sheik to go over to Dubai to play at the grand opening of his hotel. I think it's some kind of casino or something. I don't know what it is. And the guy's favorite song was by Kenny Rogers. That's why he hired him. His favorite song was The Gambler. You got to know when to hold them. Okay. So anyway, the Sheik has Kenny Rogers playing, and he comes up and they're doing their set, and he goes, "Play my favorite song, play The Gambler." He made him play it 25 times. He wanted to hear it. He made him play it 25 times. And finally, at the end, Kenny Rogers just going, "Oh, man." It ended like real shaky and weird.
I forgot the words.
Yeah. The night Kenny Rogers got owned.
Yeah, by a guy from Dubai.
Dubai,
not Dubai, to sell. It's just like you bought it.
You buy it. So anyway, but yeah, in that sense, in our community, there's talking about the 1 million person encroachment upon Area 51 and Groom Lake. A lot of buzz amongst our cohorts and peers. I'm thinking it's not a good idea. I'm thinking it's not good to have thousands and thousands of people show up at Area 51.
No, and let's face it, the ET that they had there died 3 years after he was taken into I say custody because they never let him out. So,
well,
there ain't, what are you going to do?
There's nothing to see,
right?
Like Tom Waits says, "There's a world going on underground."
Yeah,
and we have no idea what's underneath this earth, underneath these United States.
Yeah.
And everything, that area, you're also talking about a huge area. And it would seem to me that if you got this many UFO buffs or extraterrestrial investigators, they would know that you're not going to be able to walk up there and see anything.
Plus, it's a military institution.
Right.
I mean, you go over those fences and you can get shot.
Sure.
Period.
Absolutely.
It's a high security. But what it has done is brought some attention to the issue. Right. And and you got to thank Jeffrey Epstein for creating a world situation where everybody's doubting the official government line.
Yeah, right.
Because and all of a sudden the guys with the tinfoil hats are like, "Hey, wait a minute, that building 7 isn't. Wow, that did fall like a controlled demolition. 1 and 2 to 2. Hey, wait a minute, I got 3 dots connected. Can I join your group?"
Yeah, I still have people flashing that. We talk about 9/11. I'm a no planes guy. I don't think any planes hit anything. I think those were all telegraphic projections.
Yeah,
they were
blue
all
beam. Yeah,
all blue beam projections.
Yep.
And I think the buildings were bombed, rigged thusly. Just because I know an aluminum airplane hitting an iron frame building would not penetrate it. It would fold up like a tin ball and fall to the ground.
I found on the internet this week, some guy had a barn silo, right?
Yeah.
And he ended up cutting it with a chainsaw, the half of the silo, and then letting the silo fall, and it falls right over, and it starts crushing as it goes down. And it's a non-controlled. It's a perfect example of a non-controlled demolition,
Right.
and it's exactly the opposite of what happened at the World Trade Center. It's like so funny because it falls on its side and it completely demolishes itself as it falls, but it's like nothing is disappearing before the top gets there until the top gets there.
Right, exactly. Well, and folks, that's probably the conversation starter that we all had, was that initial 9/11 thing and all the questions that surround it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you so much for tuning in. We had a great crowd here tonight. Thank you so much for everybody that hung in there for the whole show. That's awesome. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Lou Angelwolf. That's my co-host, Michael Murburg. And the show is sponsored by disabilityattorney.net. That's
Thank you, Lou.
disabilityattorney.net, right over there in the greater Tampa Bay area. Any disability claims or anything like that, go to disabilityattorney.net and you can get directly in touch with Michael. And there wouldn't be a better guy on your side. I can tell you that from experience.
Thank you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've used up a whole another hour of your life. Thank you so much for tuning into the imho.love show. We're here every Wednesday night, and the show will be archived at imho.love. And take a tour over there to bitshoot.com.
Like us and send it around to your friends.
Yeah, like us, share us, tell everybody, put it on the bathroom wall. Have a good night.
Peace, y'all.